Hi everyone, Michele Courage here from michellecourage.com and the Raise Your Vibe podcast with Michele. I have got a very special guest today for my Galactic Conversation. I met ZOE MacEnergy. That's what her company name's called, but her real name is just ZOE. And we met online, as you do these days, as spiritual runarounds. And I'm going to introduce ZOE so that ZOE can actually tell you a little bit about what she does, and then I'll tell you exactly what we're going to hopefully have a good conversation about today. So welcome, ZOE. I'm so pleased. I'm loving the look behind you with all the trees and the wonderful stuff. And you are in at the moment?
I'm in Scott's Head, New South Wales.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Welcome. Thank you so much for being here on this podcast.
For having me.
That's so wonderful. We connected online through a friend, through Kim. And Kim, I did a Galactic Conversation about probably about 2-3 weeks ago. And she was telling me, oh, you've got to meet my friend. You two should really talk. And we yacked and we said, okay, fine, we're definitely going to have a yak. And I think it's going to be a great introduction today because we are going to be talking mostly, or we'd like to talk mostly, we'll see how Spirit decides where we're going, about light language. So ZOE, how did you get into light language, or what is the story? Because I know nothing about
Yes.
what you've been doing.
It's about 4 years ago, maybe 4.5 years ago, I had people kept saying to me, I was psychics and practitioners that I wasn't paying, but they'd be like, you can heal with your hands. And I was like, what does that mean? I'd kind of be like, yeah, these. And I just kind of intuitively knew it wasn't Reiki. I've just always known that.
Oh, me too. I've been on the same thing. The Reiki thing, it's a great foundation, but there's more.
Yeah, exactly. It's a higher frequency, I think. So I was that started, and then I went back to my regular 3D world. I was living in Santa Monica at the time. I had a lovely oceanfront apartment and a 6-figure salary and a great title, and I was like, wow, I feel really trapped. And so it's about 6 months.
Supposed to be living the dream, but maybe not.
Exactly. On paper, as everybody's doing, like exactly. American visa, all this, like
tick all the boxes.
I love Santa Monica. It's a really cool place, but I was still feeling so trapped. So it took about 6 months. Kind of kept getting these signs, people kind of popping into my life with messages for me. Yes. And I was like, okay, I'm going for it. So I quit my job. And I was like, okay, I'm now a freelance travel writer. So before I was in tourism marketing.
Holy moly.
Now I'm a travel writer. And, as soon as I changed my Facebook status, next day there was work in. So I was like, okay, this is aligned, good. And I went to Sweden first, kind of obsession with Sweden. And I broke my ankle after about 6 weeks.
Oh, wow.
So all my plans were out, and all this thing in my head, I've been like, I'm going to go rest for 6 months. I'm not going to do any work. And I was just like still in my run around kind of.
Yeah. So the universe gave you a real good excuse to stop.
Gave me a real push, actually, because it was a wet surface, but like there was no real reason for me to fall over. So yeah. So I took the start, I took the lessons, I learned how to talk to my body a lot more. And then I carried on this journey, and what I felt like over the 4 years I've been, 3.5 years I've been on the road, was I feel like I've been going around the world, like getting gold coins and like popping them in my spiritual backpack and kind of charging myself up with my actual reality, which is that, I'm a high frequency being that can channel light language through me, from the universe, and actually make massive shifts for people.
So can you understand what are you able to translate or get the gist of whatever you are sort of transmitting?
It really does. At the moment I've got about 4 languages that come through, so it really does depend on the language. I have my main one, and if I'm using that, I can basically understand. I work a lot with blocks in the body, like the energetic blocks in the body.
Mm-hmm.
I can understand and shift those. I can understand if where someone's at, maybe in their main pressure that they put on themselves.
So you're using sound to shift.
Yeah. Yeah, so I can kind of use sound and energy to shift whatever. I really, most of the work I do is removing or shifting limiting blocks and beliefs out of the way, or
That's
helping
so
people have a
interesting.
voice.
That's so interesting, because I am also open to light language. I have done light language, but I don't do it openly. But I work a lot with the dragon energy. And the other night I was in a closed circle, and we were helping someone to shift energy out, to allow the new lighter energy to anchor and really come in. And it was really interesting, because the lady next to me is a very quiet girl, really angelic and quiet. And she literally started roaring this light language. And I was activated to do my light language, but the dragons came in and I was speaking the dragon language. And it was really interesting, because I've got activated into the dragons a while back, but I've never actually spoken light language, the dragon light language. And then what I did was, probably about 4 or 5 months ago, I listened to a lady based in Canada. She's German, and she activated the dragons of Meldak.
Wow.
And that light language came through instinctively, just coming through in this cleansing, clearing that I helped with in the circle. And it was just fascinating for me. It was just fascinating, because I do everything intuitively. I don't try and figure it out why, what, or work on it. I just allow it to, whatever's gonna go goes. And it was all the specific language. So I'm really keen to hear when you talk about specific different light languages. Can you pinpoint where they come from, or what kind of energies?
Not really. I'm kind of I'm clairsentient, so I'm not getting visions with anything. I'm just
Okay,
getting knowing, which means it makes it a little bit challenging,
it
especially like,
does.
in that kind of like in the old paradigm of being a bit of a control freak back in the day. You want to really be like, well, who am I channeling here? What is it?
Yes,
So
yes.
in the beginning, when I really started, it didn't actually, I couldn't really understand very much. And then I started allowing that through. I know I work with Arcturians. I intuitively know that. And a lot of people will get purple energy coming through. So
Yeah, I mean, I work with the Arcturians as well, especially for healing and shifting and clearing. I think they're the master sort of those, they've got a lot of energy to help us with at the moment. So yeah, it's fascinating that you work with them as well. Big
yeah,
synchronicity,
yeah,
hey?
no, I like it. I do some readings with a girl in Germany. She does this kind of like high level galactic readings. They're really amazing. And so one time on one of my readings, I asked, like kind of like who's here sort of thing,
Yes,
and it was
yes.
definitely some Arcturians, but there were some other beings that support that are from. What she said was they're from a dimensional galaxy that cannot be measured, so far away it cannot be measured in light and sound. So I was
So
like, okay,
cool. I mean, it's just infinite, the
yeah,
possibilities, and we're opening up to more and more and more.
yeah,
So the more we fine tune in one, the more we'll go into the more frequency of others.
yeah,
And yeah, it's just as the information is allowed to filter, come into us and filter through. Because I
yeah,
often do things and then I don't have any clue, and I have complete trust in the universe that the knowledge will come later, because I'm, again, claircognizant. I just know, but I can't prove it, and then it gets substantiated later by
right,
somebody else across the world who I've got no connection to. Will talk about the same thing, and I'll go, oh, right, okay, so that is 100% like, there's somebody else doing that too.
yeah. I think like with any of these things that's coming through, it's the allowance and the trust. And so it's a shedding. It took me a long time to even kind of, I probably I started getting light language coming through my hands first. So I was in the sound healing and my hand was just like, I started doing all this thing and I intuitively knew it was recoding DNA and that it was light language. But it took maybe another few months before I started speaking it. And even then I was really kind of like, this is weird,
Yeah,
And
I mean, the same with me and my paintings. I felt the same way as putting the codes on the paintings. It's only after a while that I figured out that the codes were in the paintings, you know, because I tapped into the energetic sort of aura or whatever, and the energetic force of the person to paint the painting for them. That's why I never wanted to paint just willy-nilly. But now I'm starting to paint willy-nilly, not willy-nilly, but that's just a word that I use, but for the energy that I feel that I sit in. So I've recently done the Metatron painting and the Kuan Yin painting, but before it was specifically for people. But I never wanted to paint just like most artists just want to paint for happiness.
Yeah,
you know.
I think that's really interesting. For me, mine started out as, you know, I've got specific modalities that I will do. So I have one it's called Limitless Light Language, that really specifically moves on limiting blocks of belief. Very nice high energy one. I've got a self-love one, which is obviously nice vibes, and I've got a couple of kind of purgy ones. So I've got one which is a victim detox, so it's to really get rid of that blame game out of your body, out of your cells. And another,
so you know the energy that you're working with when it comes in now. So you kind of have sat in that energy and go, oh, I recognize this energy, and this is usually for a client that is in that space. So
I just kind of know. I just kind of get like, because I use a lot of Kundalini yoga, so I'm a trained teacher as well, and I use a lot of that to free up the body's energy and cellular cells, you know, speech, aura, to create that space. And so with that, I'll kind of almost get like a ping like this with this with this. It'll be maybe over a week, and it'll be like this, and then I know what it's for. But I've got interesting because I got a new one which I made in December. It came through in December, and it's a 2021 voice activation, and it's for people like us to really allow us to be able to have our voice, but not just to have our voice, but to be understood as well.
Yes.
And I kind of wrote everything together, and then I did it with a test with a friend, and I got to the bit and I had written the notes, and it said, I'm going to start the light language now. And I went, oh, I have no idea what's coming through. And it's like this sound, it kind of in the back of the throat, and I was like through, and I was like, oh my god, I kept waking myself up in my sleep. They'd obviously been giving it to me in my sleep practice, so that my egoic mind wasn't like, what are you doing? It's really hard. It's not made for a human tongue. A lot of it is right at the tip of the tongue. But that one is very good. Again, it's a bit purgy to get rid of those times where you've been maybe told you don't have a voice, you can't have one.
Yes, I know. I've definitely struggled with, and I think most of us have struggled with the you know, we've had to shift past patterns and past lifetimes of being shut down, and now we're having to step up and step out into the light, and you know, just getting on video, getting over self-love, getting over the speaking thing of my voice, being confident about that. It's a massive thing that light workers are having to shift quickly to be able to bring their message across, and having that access to others who have worked on that and then worked on bringing the sort of ability to shift it quickly is or quicker is just such a wonderful gift.
Yeah, and that one really does feel like a gift as well. Like, I can do that one in groups or one-on-one, and it's, you know, it's pretty powerful in itself. Just to, I mean, a lot of, you know, in the beginning I was kind of like, oh, I do this thing, and then I worked out that I really do work with people that are somewhere on their ascension journey. You know, they're somewhere on their path, and if they want to just kind of fast track it, then I can help with that.
Because that's the thing. I think, you know, while I was on my journey, and the deeper I got in my journey, the more I realized it was more I was here to help the healers. Which, you know, for me, I kind of thought, well, who the hell am I to actually try and know that I can help healers? But my guides kept telling me how powerful I was, and that this is what I could do, and that I should trust and just keep surrendering to it. So yeah, I mean, and often I think I just get called to go and spend time with someone, and I've orchestrated my life that I can do that. And I've learned to trust that I can just go and spend time with someone, and the remuneration that I get is often doesn't come through the energy exchange directly from that person. It comes through a different way to me in the universe, which, you know what, it took me a long time to surrender to that, because having been in the corporate world and being the take charge person who can do this all myself, to then actually surrender into this will get taken care of, to just relax and go with it, it's a big shift. So, and then, like you say, having to deal with the idea that actually this is for healers, whoa, it was a big thing for me specifically. And I think there's a lot of healers out there that are realizing, you know, they also need help, because it's not, you know, we've always been doing work, but we will start knowing and resonating with the person to know that this person can actually shift it quicker for me.
It's very interesting you say that, because we were just before we press record, we were talking about, it's very exciting right now, this new energy that shifted in, this sense of unity, consciousness, the sense of collaboration. So I felt very inspired by that. So I actually just started a Facebook group it's called the Healers Collab. And it's,
sorry, there was a bump there, the healers.
Everyone's being noisy around me.
That's okay.
The Healers Collab.
Oh, so, wow.
Co is for co-creation, so it's an opportunity for people to come together to collaborate.
Yes.
And lab is for experimentation.
The laboratory, yes.
Yeah, and so the reason I did that was because when I was starting on my journey, I was able to use my coaching peers to practice on. But I know a lot of people that I'm speaking to these days, they don't have somewhere to go where they can, you know, sometimes we have to kind of go through a period where we're like, well, we're really odd right now. And,
oh, absolutely.
Oh my God, aren't we crazy? Is someone going to come and lock us out?
Yeah, with bringing in my soul code healing, I mean, I've been an artist, and now they said to me, now you need to bring it into the human form and put it onto humans and into the human energetic field. So, I mean, I was lucky enough to have 3 or 4 really trusted high vibrational people that I could practice on, because I live it completely intuitively. I had to ask them to just bear with me, because they need to trust me with my healing ability, and I needed to just trust that in the sessions, I would get the clarity that where I was going was the correct way. And I mean, you do it once, twice, and then you kind of know, okay, fine, 100%, I know exactly where and how and what. But you do need your trusted people.
That's right. So it's designed to be a safe space. I'll be ruthless in that space. If someone's trolling or bullying or not, you know, they're not participating, then they walk out. It's designed to be a safe space to come in and be like, I think this thing is trying to come through me and I don't really know what it is, but will anyone practice with it?
Yes.
You go off and do a class with someone, go off and do a session with someone and get the feedback. And so it's still an exchange, you know, it's like you might be getting a healing session, but you're also going to be giving feedback, which is so valuable.
Absolutely. So there's an energy exchange there anyway, because that's what I mean, ultimately that's where I think we are headed in 5D, is that the energy exchange doesn't necessarily become money. It's the healing property, it's the shifting, and somehow everything else gets taken care of. And I'm not sure how this is going to work in the future, but it's definitely anchoring, it's coming. And those people who are not, like, I watch all these youngsters not wanting to own a house, wanting to travel, not wanting to settle down, living in a van with a caravan, or that is their life, they're nomadic. I believe that they're anchoring this new beautiful earth, this new energy into the earth, so that it paves the way for the very younger ones and the next generation to come in, and then it's acceptable, it's easy.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically how I've been living the last 3.5 years. I haven't had an address for that amount of time. I haven't had rent or bills to pay. And every time it just kind of gets sorted. So I had truck past.
There's a car. It's the universal noise in the background that we have to filter out.
Yeah, so I've been pet sitting around the world. So right now I'm looking after a senior dog called George, 1 block from the beach in New South Wales. I just left a fabulous high vibing house with a mansion and pool, and you know, and I've been just kind of swanning around the world until COVID. I was just kind of like swanning around.
Yes.
You know, this was great. I was building up, and I do a lot of energy exchange anyway. I'm happy to work with another healer, or I'm happy to exchange, you know, coaching for writing, or, you know, whatever.
So do you do your healing online?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I only ever done one in person, and it was amazing. And that was only just recently in
Wow.
Christchurch a couple of months ago, and it was amazing. I was like, want to do more of this, and that's part of why I came to Australia. So I'm heading.
So you've been based in New Zealand, and now you've kind of doing a house sit in Australia.
Yeah, and just doing short ones at the moment to get myself just kind of, you know, it's the repeat you've got to listen to in your head about burly heads. So I'm heading there. Hopefully the border will let me get in. But that's to see what's there. I'm gonna go up there. That's how I've been traveling. I've been following my intuition. I'll be like,
Yes.
why am I going to Chester in the UK? But then I'll get there and there's someone that I needed to activate there.
Oh man,
kind of like,
how
so
wonderful.
kind of really try and tune into where I'm supposed to be and really feel into where I'm not supposed to be. And New Zealand for me, I intuitively knew I wasn't supposed to be there after December.
Yes.
Had a really amazing 9 months of total inside work in a safe space, because New Zealand is that safe space.
It is. It's a very clear, I mean, I don't know, you were on the South Island, were you not? Yeah, now the South Island for me is it's such a clear grid there. So I get such wonderful downloads when I'm there, because there's less interference, because there's less people and less, you know, old stuck stuff that's hanging around.
Yeah, and that's what I mean about the universe sort of providing, because it was like I thought that I was going to have to go rent somewhere in New Zealand, because obviously no one was traveling. So how would I get a house there if no one was
right.
You know, so I was kind of like, I put my list together of what I wanted, you know, I knew it was winter. I wasn't happy about that. And, you know, I kind of like...
yeah, winter in South Island is a testing time.
I didn't know where I was going to be in New Zealand. I just knew I didn't want to be in Auckland, and that's where I was the first 3 months.
Yes.
Anyway, I was like coaching, I was coaching this girl, and she's like, oh, you're still in Auckland? I said, yeah, I'm leaving next Monday. I don't know where I'm going, and I can't get into my Airbnb. It's blocked. And I said, but I trust that the right thing will show up at the right time.
Yes.
Within the hour, this house, it comes up. It was 3 months originally, extended to 6 months. Looking after this gorgeous cat in a rural beach town of 140 people, about an hour north of Christchurch. And you were just like,
that's so cool.
And it was really funny because it was like the ugliest furniture I've ever seen.
Oh, yes. Well, New Zealand can specify in their batches, a batch for anybody from a US or UK or whatever, a batch in New Zealand is sort of a family bolt hole, and it's all the discarded furniture. So it's an eclectic taste, which is a New Zealand taste. I must admit, it took me quite a bit to get used to.
I like to refer to it as 80s Aztec.
Oh, well, I don't know. The New Zealanders love 50s, so I would go rather 50s Aztec.
Where I was saying is definitely 80s Aztec with a hint of seaside debris.
Oh, right, yes.
But it was interesting though, because the Wi-Fi was really bad as well. So the Wi-Fi was bad, the house wasn't pretty, so I didn't create very much content. I just focused on myself.
Yes.
It forced me insight, and then I knew that as soon as I got out of there, then I was like, I'm just like so much more confident now to be on.
Well, the thing is, you know, I always believe that when you're going through a shitty period, as we would define a shitty period, the arrow is pulling back, and then you let go, and oh my word, you've got so much momentum going forward. So then after that period, you just, I mean, it's like a boom, you just move.
Yeah, it just gave me the space to like work on my modalities, practice, build up my faith in myself. And also last year was such a great year for self-love. So, you know, just so grateful for that as well. And I think that's partly from doing Kundalini practice daily, but also allowing this to come through and not resisting anymore, you know, because it's been obviously trying to come through for a long time.
Yes.
My hands were I was twitching for about 4 years, to be honest. You know, you just think about the energy.
Yeah, my hands started really tingling, you know, in like sort of October last year, because I thought, I know I've got to do this, you know, and I had some body ailments, and I thought, oh, I'm feeling like really, and the minute I started the healing, all the body stuff shifted. It's because it was backing up, and then, you know, I said, okay, fine, I'm gonna practice on one of my friends.
Yeah.
And the minute I started practicing, it just, all the stuff that I was holding in my body released, and I shifted that energy even through just by practicing. And I know that I have seen it happen where people are doing light language who don't practice the light language during sort of, if you're in I was in a spiritual group, and one of the ladies really, she had an amazing gift, but then during the week she wouldn't practice, she wouldn't let it out. And then when she would come to the group, it would be, she would really struggle, and it would almost twist her because she hadn't let it out.
The density of not letting it out, that that builds up in the body. I know that there are people who download high frequency beings, and they make a lot of movement, and they think they're making the movement because it's going from 12D to 3D, but you're like, no, if you had more fluidity and you had more trust in what was coming through and more acceptance of it, then that wouldn't be such a painful experience for you. It's really just the resistance that's creating the pain. Just let it out. Like sometimes I've got a friend, she does light language. She'll be like, just in a cafe and be like, I've got to give you light language. Blah, blah. I'm not quite as bad as that, but I'm afraid to reach out and say something like, I just feel I'm supposed to do something with you,
Yes. I know. I must admit, I mean, the very first time I heard light language, there was something in my soul that went, okay, this is something different. And I understand this on a soul level, but my brain was like, this, is she putting this on? And that was a long time ago. I mean, I must be honest, it wasn't kind of completely acceptable yet. I think in this day and age, and mostly the people that are listening to this podcast will probably understand and know light language. So it won't be a complete, gobbledygook, as I used to call it.
I still say, like, your ego is going to regard this as gobbledygook.
Exactly.
But the great thing about light language is, when it comes through, it's not, your soul understands it and your cells understand it. So it doesn't matter what your ego chatter is going on. It's
and to be open about it too, because I was in a group where this lady is an expert. She really is amazing, and she would go around. We were doing a thing for we were basically going back into Egypt and meeting up with the Horus, and it was incredible. My journey there was amazing, and we did it all energetically, because I always wanted to go to Egypt, and now I have no absolute need to go because I've done it energetically. And it was really interesting and fascinating for me. She would go to each person, stand in front of them, and do light language for them specifically. And for me, it was fascinating listening to the different tones that would come out, and the different types of stuff that would come out for a different person, because I could tap into the vibration that it made me feel. I don't often, now it's a little bit better, and I can feel the gist of what is coming through sometimes, but I could feel the energetic transference, whether it was you really need to start, blah, 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 or you're doing a great job and we're loving you, and or like, this is from the old, like, blah, 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 blah. It was really interesting just to feel the different energies that come out for the different souls that needed either kick up the butt, or a soothing, gentle, or a support, or whatever it was.
Yeah, that's the great thing about the one-on-ones, is you get that, and sometimes it might speed up, like super fast.
Yes.
And I was doing one the other day, and it was like almost like a double. It's really hard to explain.
Holy moly! So you're channeling two people, baby,
coming through, or like one was mine and one. I was really weird. It was only a very short amount of time, because obviously there's room for my ego to talk as well on some of those occasions. Although I have worked that out, how to get past that. But yeah, it was very interesting, because I was kind of like, well, the first bit, because it was a recording. And the first bit, it was like specifically for her, and but then it just kind of went to everybody after that. I was like, I have no idea. I'll just
wow.
Yeah, but it was very fascinating. I think as well, it's been interesting. I've been doing some work with people with chronic pain, and I had this great example with this girl. She was a bit resistant. I don't think she'd heard light language before, whether she'd had an accident 3 years ago, had a lot of problems with her spine and migraines and things. So she had spinal fusion surgery, but then had pain come back from that.
Yes.
And so she was really uncomfortable. And I was like, just send her a recording. I just made it just for back pain, not for her, just for back pain. But she started doing that. She was like resisted a few days, and then she started doing it. And within 2 or 3 weeks, she was skiing, and it was just
Wow.
like. So now I started making these little series for like specific kind of
Mm.
chronic pain. I'm doing one for plantar fasciitis today.
Yeah, and that's probably bringing back to the Arcturians, because the
Mm.
Arcturians are sort of almost like the medical professionals of what I have encountered in the universe. They're the medical professionals. They're sort of IT based, but obviously healing is going to be IT based. So it will be sound and sort of frequencies that they've been tuning and fine tuning. And I mean, I watch the codes coming in when they you know, yeah, when you're talking like that, I can see the Arcturians are the ones that have been working with you doing that, because as you're saying what you saw, I can see the cosmic view.
Yeah.
So it's fascinating. I mean, the Arcturians are, I think, going to be groundbreaking for us, helping Earth now to change our medical practices into the more, because everything in the body is a resonance, a vibration. So the disease in your body can be shifted through sound and vibration.
Light, so it's perfect, you know. And it's like, how great is that you could listen to something for 2 weeks and then not have pain, you know? And it's just kind of like,
Absolutely.
it's just like, if we can get to the point where people are like, their first point is to look for the energy medicine, not the pain pills.
Yes, and understanding that not only comes from the earth, the plant medicine, but it comes from the sound. I mean, I am absolutely convinced water, the sound of running water, is one of the highest frequencies, along with bird sounds. It's one of the most beautiful healing sound resonances. For my soul just lights up when I hear that. So the light language is coming through us, and when it's set with intention, I feel that that is even more powerful, because it's not just out there, it's actually, I am focusing this on this person within this frequency 400% to do this specific job.
Exactly. And then just to really direct, you know, a lot of what I do is embedding codes into that area of the body, you know. So it's really kind of sending the codes to that area that are going to be at the cellular level. And that's why I do Kundalini a lot first, is because it creates expansion of the cells. That means that when the light and the energy comes in and the sound
It's
comes in,
more receptive.
there's room for it to expand. Yes. And mine's kind of an explosive. You know, when it comes in, if there's space, it's going to be like a firework, you know?
Absolutely. It'll go in, because I see them as little light orbs that come in, and they literally light up and start electrifying, and sort of awakening these little sort of dead lights that...
Yeah. So it's kind of really like, you know, a bit of epigenetics in there, a bit of kind of making sure that the person's really able to receive, you know, the upgrade for their genes, and their upgrade for their energy field.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I'm just obsessed with trying to help people raise their vibration, because the more you raise your vibration, any opportunity that you can have, the more you're going to be open to receive any healing that can come through you.
Exactly. And that's why it's kind of like, you know, my part of my daily, you know, if I'm out on a walk, I'm just kind of sending rainbows to people most of the time. I know Simon is really cheating. Thanks, PMS, you know, but it's just kind of like, I'm just kind of like, well, look, my job is to say hello to everybody on the street, because that's sending,
light them up.
Light them up. You know, that's why I love looking after pets. It's just like, kind of like, it's just like, there's so many ways that you can find to share. And like, I feel like I go into a house, I look after that pet, but I also increase the energy in the house.
Oh, absolutely. You're doing clearing. And, you know, I mean, I use the dragon energy because I believe that no amount of, you know, saging these days is, you know, it works. Yes, it does. But we are able to tap into a higher frequency now. So the dragon energies, I mean, we've called them dragons, but I mean, it's just an energy force. And then you fine tune to learn to understand which energetic energetic frequency you need to clear this house and clear under the ground and, you know, shift energy and that type of stuff. I mean, everywhere I go, like you say, when I go, you know, to stay in a batch somewhere or an Airbnb, I'm clearing. And, you know, it's the more of us that do this, the more the earth is going to be rejuvenated and cleared of this incredible, you know, energy that's been hanging and stuck here for so long, because you can't clear, if you clear it with Palo Santo, whatever, no offense, but it is just going to wait around until it can attach into something else again. Whereas if we clear it with the galactic help, then that actually shifts it into somewhere else where they, I mean, I have no idea where the for want of a better word, the trash can of the universe is, but it would shift it and dissipate it and dissolve these negative entities.
Mother Earth does that. You know, Mother Earth can dissipate and transmute for you anyway. So
she can.
I have a daily practice. You know, it's 108 I am loves, but I spend every day. I put my forehead to whatever ground I'm on, and I just send that energy to every tree root. And then I just imagine that tree root is just sending that wherever it's needed in the world, and the trees will understand where it needs to go. But I just send it down, and then I just imagine it kind of like popping up. Sometimes that'll be to someone specific that I know is in trouble. A lot of the time, it's just like, just send this wherever it needs to, like, that energy just needs to like be a little boost in someone's garden.
Because have you felt from around December last year that there's been a more of a call to connect into the core earth of the energy? So the energetic frequency of earth is, because we've always been focused as light workers and starseeds, we've been focused on connecting into above and higher, and I felt definitely the call to connect more deeper into the earth's frequency now more than ever before.
Yeah, mine started probably just being in the South Island. There was some weird kind of portal experience right where I was staying. There was like a bunch of pine trees, and if I put my hands on the trees, it felt like there was this kind of like loss of time and space or something. It was kind of like the energy was going separate. It's really hard to explain.
The South Island is phenomenal for that. I mean, I've been standing in the water there.
And I'm like, wow, there's no buzz here. It was so I'm just gonna hang into this tree and space. Don't mind me.
I know it's very hard to, like you say, to explain the level of energetic transference available to us now, and that's why I think the new wealth as it's going to be is where the grid is clear. You know, so yes, New Zealand is going to become a sought after place, as we can see with the property prices that are just going ballistic through the roof in this country. And, you know, places like there's a reason why, you know, the more remote places are going to become quite sought after. That being said, some of the remote places have not got that resonance, the same resonance on the earth as, you know, other places. So, and that's part of my learning.
Tuning into where you feel like you are most amplified, you know, because when I got to Australia, I was staying at my friend's apartment in Darlinghurst, right in the city centre. And oh my God, it was not a pleasant 3 weeks. And I've stayed there many times before. I just never noticed how noisy it was. I really wasn't kind of the density of that energy there. You know, I was just so surprised. It's been 9 months since I was last there. And I was like, whoa, this is not my jam at all anymore. And so, you know, it was really great to, sometimes you're just learning what you don't want just as much as what you do.
Well, this is the thing. I must admit, I've had quite a long journey with that, because when I first came to New Zealand, I did not resonate with New Zealand at all. I did not feel comfortable. And when I went to Bali, I arrived in Bali and went, oh my God, I feel like I've come home. And when I would fly to Australia, I would feel like I've come home. And the further north in Australia I went, the more at home I felt. And then I started figuring out, once I went to Bali, when I was there, I just actually said to my guides, you guys need to explain to me, why do I feel like this? And they said, but New Zealand, you have never lived a life in New Zealand. And that's it's not that you can't integrate, it's you don't have any cellular memory there.
Yes,
Which is really was fascinating for me because it was just very interesting for me not
I was
to
the opposite. When I got to New Zealand, I was like, oh my God, I'm home. Everything,
really.
like, I was like offered like 8 jobs in like 2 weeks, and I found like a
Really?
great place to live, and it was just like bam, bam, bam. This is the first time I lived there. And I was kind of like, oh wow, I thought I was gonna like try and get residency in Australia, but then I got to New Zealand, I was like, this is it. And then about 2 years ago, I went back and I was like, done. Energetically, it's done.
Yes.
All the cords have gone. I had property and I was selling the properties, and I was just kind of like, it's just not maybe at some point I'll be able to go back
Yeah.
to. It's not my.
I must be honest, I've struggled with New Zealand. I still struggle with New Zealand. I have done a lot of work around that. I've been listening to bird calls of New Zealand because I thought, oh, wow, what do I do? How do I integrate into this land? Because, at the moment, this is where I find myself. So, yes, much, much better for me, but it's not where I'm comfortable at.
Do you do any work like say like a hike where you do energy work on the hike with people, anything like that?
Sorry, do I do energy
Anything
work?
like kind of like energy work like on a hike, or energy work by a stream, or anything like that? Because
yes, I do a lot of, but most of the energy that I work, I think I'm more of a grid worker. So I do most of my energy work by myself.
Yeah.
So recently I was up near the Tuki River, and I did a whole bunch of clearing along the Tuki River from source all the way out to the ocean with the dragons, using the dragon energy. And that was not just, oh, well, let's just clear this area. It was literally sit down, this is going to be a job.
Yeah.
I had the same when I went to Bali. There was a massive big pull for me to do that in Bali as well, because there's a lot of stuck energy. And I remember at the time when I talked about it, oh my word, did I get flack from people because I was being disrespectful. I had it all, and it's taken me a long time to actually speak openly, even online. It took me a long time to open up and talk about what I really truly feel, because you do, because you, like you say, you're breaking ground sometimes and you're challenging the norm. Sometimes there are people that just don't, and especially when you got clear cognizance, it's very difficult to quantify. I just feel it and I know it, and I can't substantiate it.
No, that's exactly what people are like. Why are you going there? And you're just like,
I don't know. And I think the energy's changed. So there's a lot more understanding and acceptance of that. And like you say, that unity consciousness is now starting to infiltrate so much more. So people are starting to go, okay, well, that's her thing then.
Yeah.
They're less polarized and judgmental about, certain things.
Yeah, I would say like June, August, September last year, I wouldn't have talked to people about light language like I am now. I feel like now everyone's ready to receive it. Maybe not everybody, but there's a lot more people who are just kind of like, okay. I did an online one recently, and another interview, and I did a little bit of light language at the end, and my aunt watched it, who's quite.
Yes, it's normally us, our closest family, which we're the most worried about.
And I didn't know she was going to watch it, and then she watched it, and she was like, "That was fascinating. How did you learn that language?" And like, she was like really into it, and I was like, "Well, this is surprising."
Well,
and
that's why we're getting surprised.
Yeah, and that's who I'm doing the plantar fasciitis, like light language for 2 days, because I was like, "Well,
wow.
will you let me experiment with you?" Because she can't get any help from any medical professional.
Yes.
Like, yeah, and I'm like, what?
Well, and I mean, to that note, are you feeling called to do some light language today? And anybody who's listening, if you maybe just come closer to your microphone, because I know that it's a little bit sort of muffled. Yes. So, that'll be fabulous. Okay, so if anybody's around, just allow this to come through. Even if you are driving, it doesn't matter. Just let it flow through and be open. And if you want to go and listen to it again in a quiet place, that'll be awesome too.
Yeah, I would say that if it resonates with you, then don't be afraid to do 3 to 7 days of it. You know, you can just skip to the end of the podcast and listen to it again a couple of times, because there does seem to be some merit in kind of really giving it a good go, you know, kind of like really
I think it's like doors in the house. You know, you can resonate in one room, but then when you go step back the second time, you've got another door that's open, and eventually there's more moving through the body.
That's the great experience I have when I work with people like on a longer basis, like Kim say, is that we're peeling back, we're getting deeper every time we do a session, you know, we're getting deeper in there. So it's like, we're just going to clear whatever debris is sitting at the top, and then we're going to see, you know, then you can sort of see what you're ready for after that. So yes, that would be great to do it.
Awesome. Well, I'm just going to let you take this away. Thank you so much.
Okay. So I'm just going to ask you to close your eyes. I want you to take 3 deep breaths with your exhalation longer than your inhalation. And you're using these breaths as a moment to sort of drop into the space and kind of be as present as you can be. If you're driving, obviously don't close your eyes. And I would like to ask that if you are willing to receive the energy from the universe channeled through me today for your best and highest good, that you're to touch your third eye, touch between the eyebrows, and think to yourself, I allow, I allow, I allow. And then you can relax your hands and have comfortable breath and just receive. Kina yara kamo ketikirkan mo yana ketik ini kamo yata karakiyan yana mo kakera hitikirkan mo yara ketikirkan mo yana pakina bari kening tikana poi tari kara mo tata kana yara ketik mo to ketikirkan mo to ko yana ro to paya porque ni ro to ko anya ro to ko manya to ko ati kata ka pok kera mo yana dati kana mo yana data to kare mo yana o yana rata yana mo kita kita kare mo yana yara ketik mo ketikirkan mo yana kita kita mo ita kira yara mo kita kita na yung kita mo kita mo yan laki na nito ko yana porque kita kita mo o tara ke ini ro ko ki na yara po kita kita mo o yara kita mo o yana to ko kita mo yana to kita mo ya to ko tikini o ita kita ya iyo ma yara to kita yana to kira mo kita ma to mo to kare na nyoro po to kare kita na yara to ko kare ma yana to ko kira mo to kita ma yara kira kita yana ta ya mo to ko yana to kare kina mo to kare kina mo to yana ta kare ka mo to kare ka mo to kare kina mo porque kita kata kana na to kare kina mo to kare kina yara ta kare kita ta kai na yara to kare kita ita kare mo yana na yara to ko to kare kina na ta kita ta mo to kare kina mo yara to kare mo ta kare mo ta kita porque ta ta mo yana to kare mo o yana to kare kita ko yana to kare kita ta mo yana to kare kina mo porque me ya to ko kina to ko ke yana yara ta kare mo yana ta mo kina o yana ta mo yana o yana ta kare mo ta ta mo yara to kare mo yana porque kita kare mo no to ma yara to kare yana yara ta ina yara to ko ina yara ta kama yana yara mo ko yara so ko ta yana yana to ni yara ta ta mo ta mo ta mo ta mo yara to kini abo ta ina yara ta to ina yara ta kana mo ta ko kiri porque ta kama yara ta ina yara to ko ni yara to mo ni yara to kiri kiri ya ma yara ta kama yara ta kiri porque te ayana ta ki to ko anda ta ka mo o to kini mo ni to ta ka mo ta ka ni yara to kiri ma yara to kiri amma yara to kiri ma punya na ki to yana sur ni yara ta mo yara to kiri ni yana ta mo ni yana ta kira kina mo yana ta ko yana yara ta mo kira kira ni yana ta kira kina yana ta mo yana. You place your hands in front of your solar plexus at the navel center. I want to imagine a massive ball of energy being placed in here. And it's really almost kind of like you're putting the greatest fuel in your car, the highest level fuel in your car, you're now placing into the solar plexus and setting it on fire. The power is within the solar plexus, is able to fan out, not just through you, through every cell in your body, but through every action, through every word that you speak out, and to give that power out, to send that power out, to share that power as part of the unity consciousness. If you place your hands by your solar plexus, maybe you can feel the heat there. This can be reignited at any time if you feel like it's kind of gone out or fallen down in heat. You can reignite it. I want you to take a deep inhale for me and hold the breath. While you're holding your breath, I want you to continue to think to yourself, I allow, I allow, I allow. To allow the light and the energy and the sound to infiltrate the cells, to expand there, to give you the power that you need to continue on not just your day to day, but your journey. When you can no longer hold the breath, you're going to relax and you can open your eyes whenever you're ready. There was a sense of, right at the beginning was the need to clear some throat chakra imbalances, and then a little bit, some codes gifted through the third eye, an expansion of the crown chakra. But then a lot of the work today was really at the solar plexus. When the energy came through, I was very excited, very happy to see you and to see your audience. Very much a sense of like, oh my God, you guys. Which was really, it was really good. It was very, very joyful.
I have to tell you that yesterday I went and bought the solar plexus singing bowl. So I'm cracking up because this is the work that I'm doing at the moment on myself.
So it was like, it's not, although it's for yourself, your audience is going through something similar as well.
Absolutely.
And so I don't work with the solar plexus that often. So for me, there's a lot of stuff, heart, throat, crown. So so it was very interesting to have that.
Well, for me as well, because I haven't worked with the lower stuff that much. I've been working mainly on my connections and the heart, and so yes, super, super grateful for that. Thank you so much. And
so with you for sure, do recommend listening for at least 3 days.
Absolutely. I mean, you know what? I just believe that things come into our life for a reason whenever so if you're listening to this is 100%, you were supposed to be here. You're supposed to listen to this and act on the connections that you make and the pointers that your guides give you. Because I went yesterday specifically to get a different singing bowl. And then when I played it in the space where I bought it from, both the owner, who's very in tune, and myself went, because I was going to go for the orange bowl, and I needed to work with this one. And it's really, it's just beautiful. So this is how the universe works. This is how our guides work for us. And they are, like you say, jumping up and down when we do something, that the channel is clear and we're listening and we're working. So I honor that I've met you and that you came today and you showed up, and because there's so many things that have to come together to make this happen.
Yes, exactly. And I think it's just as soon as we started talking, I was like, I already knew your soul. Even I think when we were first connected via Kim, I already knew.
Oh, absolutely.
So it was just 100% yes, but then as soon as it was like, oh, there you are, it was kind
of. Well, this is the thing. It's becoming like that now. It's like you meet the person. I mean, I didn't even see the picture but when Kim connected us, I went, yes, 100%. If she's up for it, I'm up for it, 100%.
Yeah.
There was no.
No. Now there's a point now where we're just going to lift each other up. There's room for everyone to be as successful and sharing. And so
Exactly. We're going to help each other to clear the blockages that each of us either have worked on and helped know how to clear in the other person, or that is your job on this earth and you will be clearing whatever. And it's being open to that and understanding that oftentimes the energy exchange is not going to be a monetary thing. It's just going to be I see you, I love you, and I want to help you to be the highest you that you can be.
Exactly. So I think we just keep honoring that, and you keep honoring those thoughts that there's lots of ways that you get cared for by the universe if you're open to, so say it's like, I can be pet sitting is how I'm getting my income because I'm not paying rent or bills. So therefore I can happily be like, oh, let's do something together. Let's work together. Let's
exactly.
let's hold this session, whatever, it's just a lot of freedom from that.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be specifically, oh, I've got to earn money out of my modality. Be open to the abundance that can come through in any form or shape.
Exactly. And then just kind of just start, just trust more and more that's how it's showing up. I did a Kundalini prosperity class the other day, and I did light language at the end to embed the practice. And I said to everyone, just work out what's, like, pay attention to what's coming now. Within 24 hours, 6 of the 7 people in my class had something show up, whether it was 25 cents off of the counter or $400 ties instead of 700, or, oh, we haven't paid you enough. We need to send you a check. We've underpaid you.
Yes.
It's like you're just going to be paying attention. You become so much of the more you are an observer, the more you see what the universe is just throwing in your face all the time.
Absolutely, because everyone, our guides, everything, we're magnificent sovereign beings. We're here to live the most wonderful life on earth. I mean, my purpose is to enjoy this beautiful time that I have on this earth, because it is glorious. It is the most fabulous thing. So thank you so much, Zoe. I'm going to sign off now. I think we've been going for about an hour. So thank you to those. And if you feel called to go back to listen to this beautiful light language transmission, please do so at least 3 times. I know I'm probably going to be sitting in this energy for a little longer. So thank you so much, and drink lots of water, guys, after this thing. Thank you so much, Zoe.
Just add as well that with my light language, when you go to bed tonight, you can ask for a second wave in sleep. So if you remember to do that, then it's going to keep working 24, 48 hours anyway, but you can kind of get a good top up at night time.
I definitely felt the blockage in the throat was definitely, I got an ache in my chest at one point. It sort of felt like, there was like trapped stuff in there. So thank you so much. Okay, thanks so much. And we will see you again on a Raise Your Vibration. ZOE Mac Energy. If you want to go and look Zoe up, you can have a look on my webpage. I'll probably put a link in there somewhere when I release this podcast. If you go and look on YouTube, this will be there as well. So, and I'll put all the links in there to Zoe's wonderful healing sounds. Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye.